Okay, well, we are really honored to have our next cooking demonstration with Chef Alan Hirahara, a Bay Area native, Santa Clara University graduate who discovered his love for cooking after college. He began his culinary career in 1989, training as a sushi chef in Mammoth Lakes. He worked there more than a decade. And then after returning to the Bay Area, he earned a culinary arts degree. He spent, he trained in 1989, and then since returning to the Bay Area, he spent years in both restaurants, in catering, and also as a private chef. He was inspired by his late wife, Ashi, and so he now serves a vegan tasting menu that is served out of its home in Alameda. He also runs a sushi catering business and volunteers at many of the Bay Area Japanese Buddhist temples and other Japanese community nonprofit organizations. So today, Chef Alan will be demonstrating cooking with Yuba. If you don't know about Yuba, you should learn about Yuba because it's so delicious. It's kind of like a tofu skin that he'll be describing to you. This is in collaboration with Hodo Foods, which donated some of the Yuba for this presentation. So everyone, a big round of applause to Chef Alan Hirahara. Thank you so much for being with us today. Tell us what you're going to be cooking up here.
Okay, so how many people have had or know about Yuba? It's curious, tofu skin. Okay, good number. So, tofu, of course, is the most popular, but I've had this fascination for the last few years with tofu skin. And it's very simple. It's basically all you do is get soy milk and simmer it. I guess you guys can't see, but I've already simmered this. And what happens is it starts to stick to the sides. Oh, can you see it? Okay. So you guys can see this. What I do is I just pull this off like that. So this is what I would serve when I do my tasting menu. I serve this as sashimi. So that's tofu skin.
And it's very healthy too.
Yes, high protein. Then there are many, that's the fresh, and this is actually Hodo's version. This is their fresh sheets. And if you can see, they just have these big pots with soy milk. And you see all the layers. I just pull this out. And this is very soft and pliable. So, but there are many forms, like if you, the handout, or get the handout?
And I think we have some Yuba samples that we are going to be handing out.
So if you can see on the front side of the handout, the fresh sheets is what I just showed you. They also come, this is one that's been frozen, actually got frozen, but it looks very different. But it still is, and it comes in huge sheets like this. Some are round, some are rectangular. So this is the fresh. These are the dried sticks. So basically the stick that I just pulled out would be dried, and then you want to rehydrate these before you use them. You guys we got some samples. First, so we got a lot of samples for you guys to try today. The first one is the Nama Yuba from Hodo, which is just a very soft form. We'll bring it up. Soft form of Yuba, and when you taste it, you can see why I love it. It's got this nice creaminess to it, and it's very soft. So those are going around. We're serving that with soy sauce and wasabi. So that's how I usually serve it, sashimi style. So see if you guys like that. And then, so the dried sticks. They also sell these fried sheets like this. And these are also a different form where they've been fried. And these are good, you can see this here. You can use them in stir fries. Instead of, let's see, so that is the sashimi Yuba. But the next one that I'm going to have handed out is what you rehydrate these sticks like this, and then just stir fry them in a stir fry. It's more of a rubbery texture, chewy texture. Yes.
And I I think some of the people are getting the samples now of Yuba. One of the things that I really thought was interesting when I was living in Japan is how it is incorporated as part of Buddhist temple cooking as well. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because a lot of people I know that they're, in Japanese Buddhism I know, a lot of the priests are vegetarians, so they need to look for things other than the fish, the sashimi, and things like that to be able to cook.
Yeah, it's called shoujin ryori, and it's usually very simple with just a few ingredients, and they do use tofu and yuba quite a bit. Yeah.
And some of the tofu and the yuba, I noticed you were showing people how it's kind of these long, flat, kind of stretches of tofu product. But also it can be rolled. There are different ways of using it, correct?
Yes, in fact, later on I've got the mock duck, which is a rolled, it gives you a different texture. Yes.
Is there anything that's challenging about using yuba? Because I know, sometimes people are very familiar with tofu. But the yuba is something which, they might not really know quite how to use it.
Yes. It's a little challenging. For example, one of the samples I did, I was frying the yuba, fresh yuba. I was frying these sheets to create basically this version here, and they stick together. So that was so I had to shallow fry them so they wouldn't float around.
And how do you do that to make sure that they don't stick together?
Well, if you shallow fry them, then they stay in one spot. If you deep fry them, then they move around and touch each other. I was all trying to get them from sticking.
And is yuba, I know oftentimes people think of tofu as something that you put sauces on,
yes.
that you might steep in. What is it with yuba? Is it the same kind of approach, or do you use a slightly different approach?
Well, with the sashimi yuba, you can really taste that creaminess. But with most of the other applications, it's blank slate, so it absorbs flavor just like tofu. The beautiful thing about tofu's yuba is that the texture, each one of these preparations is different. So next I'm going to have them bring out number 2 on the samples. On the back side of the handout is the description of the samples. So that is yuba sticks like this that have been rehydrated, and you can I just stir fry them by themselves, but you can do it in a stir fry with vegetables, and that's your protein. So
and
that's more
that you have, the chef brought some samples too, so you can get a chance to taste what this is like. If people are going to be getting this, where can they get this one right here? Is that something you can get at more of a Japanese market or Asian markets? Do they have?
Hodo is carried at different markets in the Bay Area. This is the fresh one.
I think I've even seen it at Whole Foods or some of the other mainstream. It doesn't necessarily even need to be like an Asian market.
Right.
Right.
This is pretty readily available. The other products are mostly from, I think I listed on the handout, Chinatown, any Chinese, even Vietnamese markets. Like I said, this is a dried one. This one was in the freezer section. I got this at Ranch 99. So this fried one is harder to find, but like I said, you can also make it yourself.
So different Asian cultures might be using it, but just under a different name. In Japanese, it's known as yuba.
Yes. So I guess you guys are trying the stir-fried yuba. As you can see, that one's more of a kind of chewy texture.
And is everybody getting the stir-fried one? Are there people who haven't gotten one of those yet? If you could just raise your hand up here in the front. On this side, there's some people who haven't gotten it yet. So, and tell us about the sauce that you're using with this that they're sampling. How did you decide on flavoring it?
That's just a basic Chinese brown stir-fry sauce. So it has ginger and garlic and stuff. Soy sauce, soy base.
And so basically you stir fry it, and you said do a shallow.
No, this one is not fried, not deep fried.
Okay.
It's just rehydrated, and then you pat them dry so there's no water, and then just stir fry them with other ingredients.
And how long does it usually take to prepare? If you're talking about, from beginning, when you get the packet, to the very end, to what our guests are sampling right now?
Well, these dried sticks take about 3 to 6 hours. And then what I find is that when you get these, you can see they hang them on on something like that. And the part where it hangs, I throw that out because that's always doesn't rehydrate because it's too thick. But
so 3 to 6 hours. So you basically take it out and then you put it into.
Then you just cut it up
into pieces
and then put it in your stir fry, just like a meat when you do a meat.
And do you have to rehydrate it then before you do that?
Yeah.
They're saying 3 to 6 hours. Okay. So is that something you could do overnight, or is it best to do it on the same day?
Best to not overdo it because if it's too. You probably could, but I always, if you don't want to over soak it, because then it might get too wet. So next we should have going out. Are we keeping up on the samples? Let's see.
Okay, can we have a show of hands? What do you think about Yuba? Is that something you think you would enjoy? Yeah, it's a very different kind of way of thinking about soy and tofu. Because I think oftentimes people think of tofu, they might have had fried tofu, but that's still not the same as the Yuba skin, which is its own product in and of itself. Okay, and so I think then the next sample that is going to be coming out shortly, tell us a little bit about what this is.
That's the sheets that I've deep fried, and I just tossed them in a black bean sauce. So compared to the last one that was chewy, this one's got an interesting texture. It is chewy, but it's got that fried texture too, so I really like putting it in stir fries. And you can also use it as a topping, a crunchy topping, or vegan chicken skin, I've seen it used as. So.
And I know there are a lot of people who are going more towards vegetarian and vegan options just for various reasons, whether it be, for philosophical reasons or whether it's for health reasons. When you're talking about Yuba, you mentioned high protein, but is it also good in terms of fats and cholesterol and things like that? Very low.
Soy is actually really healthy. I know there's a soy scare. People think that soy is bad, but I've looked into that. I think it's fine. And yeah, the protein is good. And by the way, I thought a few years ago, I was like, why don't they make almond milk tofu skin, or any other type of nut or bean? Soy is the only one that has the gluten that has enough protein to be able to create a skin. So that saved me a bunch of work. I was going to try all these different things and see if I could get a skin.
So if you were to take almond milk per se, or cashew milk, some of the other milks that we're seeing that are that are vegan, you wouldn't be able to do what you do with soy?
Correct. Soy is the only one that works for this. Yes.
And so talk a little bit, if you would, about what people are going to be tasting next. I think, are we getting the next ones out, the next rounds of samples? And these are the ones that you said that you did as a stir fry with black bean sauce?
Yes, that's the one that's been fried, and then I tossed them in a black bean sauce.
And then if we could start at the front, maybe over here, and just go one on this side, and then just go straight back that way, that would be great to get the samples out. That would work. I think we have a number of different ones coming through. One of the things that I also wanted to ask you about is just the range, because oftentimes we see this with a lot of Asian foods and Asian flavorings. Is it something that you think might work with, other kinds of maybe Western style seasonings, or have you ever experimented with that at all?
Oh yeah, it's like something as a base you can use as a meat substitute, because it is just like tofu, doesn't taste that much. But it's the texture, and especially the one that you're going to get next, the fried one, really absorbs sauce well, so you can use it for tons of different things. And in fact, like Tofurkey, I believe, makes a vegan turkey, and they use Yuba on the outside because it gets crispy like a skin. So,
that's interesting. So I know you mentioned kind of like a chicken skin, but that could open up all kinds of possibilities with like barbecue sauces or mustards and things like that. So very interesting. Okay. And so that's this one that's coming out, which is the fried.
Should be the fried one in the black bean sauce. Yes. There should be two more.
And it looks now like we have two more coming out as well. We could have those also get plated up. And if you didn't get a sample and you want one, just please feel free to raise your hand, and we'll try and make sure that we get somebody around to you. We have a couple people over in the side there. Okay. All right, and go ahead.
We also have, well, next we have what they call mock duck, vegan duck or goose. And that is just simply, I rehydrated these sheets and soak in water, squeeze all the water out, and then you just basically, I painted some seasoning on it, and just roll like 4 sheets, and they end up being a roll, like a log. And then I pan fried it, added sauce to it, simmered it, and then you just cut it up into pieces. And it's got the real, you can really get the chewiness, because it's many layers of the mock duck.
And show us again the packaging of what you used for this next one, the mock duck that they're going to be
Mock duck is this.
Okay, and that is where you said that you got that at an Asian food store?
This was from Ranch 99.
Ranch 99?
Frozen.
Okay. Frozen? Okay, so then when you get it frozen, then do you need to thaw it in the refrigerator, or what is the process that you use there?
I had to defrost it quickly. No, I put it in the refrigerator before I do this. That's what we do. And this one is nice because they're rectangular. A lot of the times they're round, and so it's hard to make. You have to cut to make your sheets, but this was really rolls. This was really nice because rectangles are really easy to roll. So.
And if you can hold that package up again so people can see, how many servings would that be if you were going to be preparing this, like say for a family or for a gathering? How many servings would you say are in that?
This was huge. I made what I brought today, plus I have several at home, so the quantity was quite big. So yeah.
Fantastic. All right. Well, that looks really, really delicious. And then I think we have our final, is it our final round of samples that are still coming out?
Yeah, the last one is a product called Yuba pouches, which are like this but basically they're like rectangle like this, and they're Yuba that's been folded on each other. The one place in the Bay Area that I know to go is Leona Vegetarian in Oakland. They sell them frozen. And the neat thing about that product is that they're nice and chewy. Some of these other ones, other than the mock duck, it's more of a crispy thing. But with these layers, you can serve it and you get a meaty bite. So see if you guys like that one.
That's a good point too, because sometimes people are looking for that. Maybe not necessarily a substitute, but kind of the feel in the mouth,
exactly.
Or how that it feels very substantive, I guess it might
yes.
be. Let's see, if I have one more volunteer who might be able to come back. I see that you have some cards here
yes, I have my
for people. And maybe we can have one of the Cherry Blossom Festival volunteers, or actually Ben, if you don't mind coming up, Ren. We'll grab these and maybe...
I also have cards for Leona.
Okay.
They carry the tofu skin as well as the pouches.
So Ren is going to be coming around. If you would like a card for Alan, just to know how to reach him. Again, you do cooking for different groups, but also you have a home vegetarian...
20-course vegan tasting menu.
20-course vegan tasting menu. Is that not Bay Area or what, right? Having that ability to have some delicious dishes prepared by a private chef in a way that is, delicious and not what I call vegetarian by omission, which is taking a regular meal.
Oh, that's it.
It looks like we're out of cards, and it looks like everybody got a card. Are there some in the back? I think one of our Cherry Blossom Princesses has some more, so if you want one, raise your hand. And then, Alan, tell them how they can reach you if they didn't get one of those cards. How can they reach you?
They can just get my phone number or I can my email address.
Do you have a website at all, or social media or anything like that? Okay, so go ahead and give everyone your email address. If you didn't get a card, you can write it down.
Oh, it's just my name, Alan Hirahara at Gmail. ALANHIRAHARA at Gmail.
Thank you so much for teaching us a little bit about Yuba. A big round of applause, please, for Chef Alan Hirahara. Arigatou gozaimashita. And gochisousama deshita. Thank you so much. So what did you think? Had you ever had Yuba before? Some of you, do you think you would get some now? Possibly? is meant to do is not just have samples which are delicious or see the vendors, but also really get a chance to learn about what it takes to make some of these dishes, a little bit of the history and some of the context in that it's used. And I remember when I was in Japan, one of the things I loved is going to some of the Buddhist temples and seeing the beautiful dishes that they make using Yuba, which is not something that is quite so common here, but hopefully it will become so.